You all know that it is dangerous to hold opposing beliefs in Russia and that many people get jailed for simple things such as just posting something on social media or simply smashing a like button. Today I'm gonna show you actual cases when Russians were fined or even jailed for speaking up. Let's begin with the surprisingly not so harsh penalty that Alexandra Slobochenkova got for posting this image on her Instagram page. The caption on the back says, "Sex is cool, but Putin's death better." I totally agree with Alexandra, and guess what? She was only fined for 30,000 rubles, which is something like $300. And here is her comment about this whole situation. "I feel sad that nowadays, even on my little social media page, expressing my opinion has become unwelcome and unsafe, and that fines have to be paid for my thoughts and images. I can't know for sure how I was found and why someone became interested, but I believe that someone must have reported me, seeing that the page is open to the public, especially with such posts that might not appeal to everyone." Now let's talk about the deputy of Moscow's Krasnoyarsk district, Alexei Gorino. He was imprisoned for 7 years for speaking up during municipal council. Here's the words that got him jailed. "Please, could you tell me what kind of children drawing contest we can talk about for Children's Day right now? And what kind of dances related to Children's Defense Day will we talk about? Or about what kind of dance programs that are tied to Victory Day will we talk about when children are dying every day? For your information, I would like to mention that around 100 children have died in Ukraine. Now it's more than 500. Children are becoming orphans, and the descendants of Second World War veterans are currently being thrown into the hell of these military actions on Ukrainian territory. I believe that all efforts of civil society should be directed solely towards stopping the war and withdrawing Russian forces from Ukrainian territory. If there were agenda items dedicated to these issues, I would gladly vote. In the current form, I personally will not vote, and what happened next is up to your discretion." This was said more than 1 year ago. Also, after Alexei was sentenced, he admitted that the saddest thing for him was that he won't see his dog again when he's out, because she just won't live for so long. And indeed, dog Chupa died a few months ago. Now let's discuss another case of injustice in Russia. A very popular Russian writer, Dimitri Gulchowski, was sentenced to 8 years of imprisonment in absentia, and one of the reasons for that is because he publicly said these beautiful words. "Gianni Rodari truly deserves this glass whatever thing, because he wrote the books Cipollina and Gelsomina in the Country of Liars. Also, 1984, though a bit dark, I recommend it to you in case someone hasn't read it or accidentally missed it in childhood. I recommend these two books. Cipollina is just everything that's been happening in our country since January turned inside out. Identical, really funny. I recently read it to kids. It's just hilarious. We burst out laughing. It's just about us, Russians. The fruits occupational regime against vegetable people. And finally, the book Gelsomina in the Country of Liars. A boy from working class Italy finds himself in a land where things cannot, under any circumstances, be called by their proper names. Cheese is called an eraser. Ink is milk. You must never call cheese cheese or an eraser, because for that you go straight to jail. You might say these are children's books, but we, my friends, are entering an era where having the courage to act like your mom told you to in childhood, that is, not lying, not being afraid, not joking when others are being kicked around, and not faking your stand, that's an act of civil courage, isn't it? I want to call you to remember what you were taught in childhood. And even if your mom tells you now not to stand out, remember that she told you something very different in your childhood. Now I'll tell you about just crazy injustice. Here's the guy who was imprisoned for 8 years basically for nothing. He just was a technical administrator in Navalny's office. Here's his own words about his imprisonment.
Hello everyone, this is Danya Holodney. Today I was sentenced to 8 years. You might be wondering why. It turns out that connecting the internet in the YouTube channel's office is extremism. Attaching a microphone to an audio mixer is extremism. Turning on cameras is extremism. Launching a streaming program, the astute listener already knows the answer, is extremism. Installing Windows, well, you got the idea. How can one speak freely nowadays? The new sincerity, perhaps. But that's not all. 8 years isn't much. It's almost like being acquitted. So the court decided to confiscate my property and money. This is what the prosecution requested. Now you might have a question. Did they go mad in their little kingdom? Answer, of course not. Our country has been taken over by very cunning people. It's important to understand they didn't sentence me for being an extremist because even a fool can see that there was no extremism. Instead, they did it so that you, shocked by my fate, wouldn't dare to fight back. So that an IT specialist from Russia would go and code AI for the Federal Penitentiary Service and a system for gosuslugi, so that you would be afraid. But what you should fear isn't the prison. You should fear the grim future of our homeland. You should fear that one day your grandchildren will ask you, "Where were you then?" And they will ask, "Don't doubt it. Fight. Don't stay silent. Not for my sake, not for Chanushova's, not for Stanina's, not for Navalny, Yashin or Karamurza, but first and foremost for yourself and your children."
And finally, I'll read you the statement of Anatoly Rozhnov, a 75-year-old Russian pensioner who got fined for 200,000 rubles, supposedly for discrediting the Russian army. You should understand that 200,000 rubles, which is about $2,000, isn't real money for Russian pensioner. So here is his statement.
Dear court, I have a dream. I dream that my country will return to the ranks of democratic and peaceful nations. Currently, this is far from the reality. I hope that my participation in various actions, mass protests, individual pickets, will help my country get back on the path of normal democratic development, so that people who have left our country in large numbers, those who constitute the bright minds, science, technology, will return to our country, and our nation would finally take pride not in the most advanced weapons systems, but in great achievements in cancer treatment and other scientific accomplishments, so that our scientists, of whom we have sufficient number, who have developed significant talents, could compete on equal terms in various international conferences and work in the interests of all human civilization, rather than being accused of state crimes and treason. I hold great hope for this. However, I fear that the situation in our country is such that I might not live to see that day. But I would like to know somewhere up in the heavens that my efforts were not in vain. I have done everything I could for this cause, and therefore my conscience towards the future remains clear.
Hopefully this video didn't make you sad. I still believe that there are many Russians who hate Putin, who hate this war, and who want a democratic, peaceful Russia that doesn't bother its neighbors. Thank you so much for your attention and for watching this video till the end. Please support it by smashing the like button and writing a comment down below. Also subscribe to this channel. Thank you for this. I'll see you soon, and goodbye to you all.